Welcome back, Scratchers. Last time we added shooting player bullets to our P38, but we have a limitation. We can only fire one bullet at a time, and maybe we want to overcome that. So if we want more than one bullet to fire at a time, we could try creating an extra copy, so duplicating that sprite, but then how do we know which one we want to fire at any given time? That adds a lot of complexity. There's actually something much more straightforward that's built into Scratch, which is the idea of clones. A clone is a copy of a sprite that only exists while the game is running and goes away, and we can have as many of these as we want. So kind of to play with this, let's go ahead and take this when space key is pressed off, and then replace it with this when I start as a clone hat block. So when I have this clone hat block, all of this is only going to apply to that specific clone. Every time we make a new clone, it's going to do the same thing over again. So these are instructions for the clones now. And I can go ahead and add create a clone of myself to the space key. So if we try this, notice now we can fire a whole bunch of these bullets. But after a while, it stops allowing us to do that. And this is one of the important things to understand about clones. Let me go ahead and stop this. I'm going to start again. I'm just going to take this hide block off so we can see what's happening. Notice that we start getting these clones stuck at the top of the screen, and I'm only allowed to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clones, something like that, before Scratch says, oh, no, that's enough. You're not allowed to do any more. And really, that's because these clones are sticking around. There's also this delete this clone block that says, when you're done, I'm done with this clone, go ahead and get rid of it and its resources. So if I start this up again, notice when they hit the top, they disappear, and they don't come back, and I can keep firing additional bullets. That's because now this is freeing up the resources that were consumed to represent that clone, and then I can go ahead and create that clone. One of the other things, if I go ahead and pull this off and leave them up there, if I stop the game, notice they disappear. When I start it again, they're gone. So clones only exist for as long as the game is, or the Scratch project is running. And we need to make sure that if we're done with them, we delete them so that we can create new clones to go ahead and take that spot. So now this is working pretty well. I'm going to make one other change. So we're using when the space key is pressed, create a clone of myself within the bullets. But if at some point we change this game, we want to be able to fire different kinds of bullets, maybe after a power-up or something like that. We really want the control, all the control of the plane, to actually be in our P38 sprite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this block and drop it on the P38. That creates a copy of it in here. Notice it just suddenly appeared in there. If I go back to the bullet, I'm going to take this out entirely. So I'm just going to drag it off and get rid of it. So now the behavior of the bullet is still defined in the bullet, but to actually fire the bullet, I'm going to do that from within the P38. However, notice this says create a clone of myself. I want to change that to match the bullet that I'm using, which is the large bullet. Now this should work exactly the same. It's just I've put all of the code controlling the player's character, the player's plane, in the player plane sprite. And that's a good strategy to help organize and think about your code. It helps make sure that you know where to look for things as you're building your projects.